One thing we've learned over the course of the pandemic and our over 150 interviews of Canadian healthcare workers is that it's often very difficult to put the mask on ourselves before we can help others. Often healthcare workers feel like they can't take a break, that they're letting their team down when they take that time for themselves. Unfortunately, it is true that we need to help ourselves before we can help others. Ways of doing that might be, for example, having self-compassion for oneself, thinking, if this was my mother or my sister or my brother or my spouse, what would I say to them right now? Would I encourage them to take a break? And giving ourselves the same self-compassion, we can find a path forward to also helping others. Right now, we're in a situation in Canada where, while the population would like to go back to normal, we know that within our hospitals and our clinics and healthcare settings, things have not returned to normal. We're facing staffing shortages. Many people feel as if they no longer wish to continue on in their healthcare professions. Healthcare Salute provides information about early warning signs of trauma-related injuries, of burnout, and provides ways of coping and caring for oneself and caring for others throughout the pandemic. It also provides organizations and policymakers with information about rates of post-traumatic stress injuries, depression, anxiety, and burnout among healthcare workers. And it provides education around concepts like moral injury, where healthcare workers throughout the pandemic have had to do things that may violate their own moral or ethical values, or they may feel that others who had a duty of care to them, like an organization or an institution, have not been able to meet that duty of care. And some are left feeling angry and betrayed by not having that duty of care towards them met. Healthcare Salute is a very deliberate choice of words. Here we're offering a thank you for the service and the sacrifice of Canadian healthcare workers and their families, much in the same way that we do for Canadian military personnel as they serve at the front and come home after a long, hard-fought battle. So first of all, I want to thank Todd for so courageously sharing his story as part of the video series on Healthcare Salute. And Todd talks about the threats to his identity, not only as a healthcare worker, but also a member of the LGBTQ2SIA+ community and as a man of Asian descent. And here we see how our multiple identities impact our everyday experience. With Healthcare Salute, we're trying to build understanding and awareness of identity and how it impacts upon healthcare workers' day-to-day experiences, where Todd talked about the triple threat that he felt during these circumstances. And again, we want to thank Todd for letting us know and sharing his story. Healthcare Salute is an opportunity for us to remember why we became healthcare workers in the first place, that we signed up for these professions to help others. And because of that, when things aren't going well or when we're overwhelmed by circumstances, the amount of illness, the amount of injury, it can be very frustrating for us because we signed up to help. Healthcare Worker Salute is a reminder that we are all vulnerable. We all can be injured by the circumstances that we're facing. And we really want to take that opportunity both to help organizations to put in place policies and guidelines that best assist and support healthcare workers, and also as individuals to allow us to have self-compassion for ourselves and to put that oxygen mask on ourselves before we can help others. So we've done quite a bit of research surrounding Healthcare Salute. We interviewed over 150 healthcare workers across the country and also did online surveys of healthcare workers across the country. This taught us, for example, that 1 in 2 Canadian healthcare workers are currently considering leaving their clinical positions. And oftentimes they attribute this to the moral injury that they've experienced on the job. So this could be, for example, being asked to turn away visitors from the hospital, providing care which one feels is invasive and will not be helpful, in fact is futile, and also feeling betrayed by individuals or organizations that healthcare workers feel had a duty of care to them. So for example, being able to provide adequate safety and circumstances for healthcare workers. We learned as well about the sort of things that help healthcare workers with moral injury. So for example, having high levels of organizational support that ideally is trauma-informed, as well as having belief in a higher power has also been associated with better outcomes surrounding moral injury. The struggles of healthcare workers, what they've faced over the course of the pandemic. So hearing, for example, from healthcare workers like Krishna, who was the only person on her shift, who was left caring for multiple beds in a long-term care facility after she'd already served overnight and during the day. Healthcare workers show up every day for us. We want to show up for them through Healthcare Salute. The overrepresentation of women in our sample is partially due to the number of women relative to men in many of the healthcare professions, like nursing and respiratory therapy. However, we do believe it's very important that males, females, and non-binary folks, along with individuals who are gender fluid, are represented in our research. The more that we can show and tell the stories of individuals from multiple different gender identities and sexual identities, the better able we are to understand and appreciate the service and sacrifice of healthcare workers, and also to assist them along this journey. So Healthcare Salute seeks to recognize cultural identity, gender identity, sexual identity, and all other forms of identity. We need to invite everyone to the table to tell their story and to be represented in the materials on Healthcare Salute. We do that through our videos, through our images, cartoons on the website, the use of both official languages, and inviting all healthcare workers not only to tell their stories, but to benefit from the tools that are available and the resources available on Healthcare Salute in a way that they can see themselves in the stories and in the tools and resources available. So psychoeducation is one of the resources that are offered on Healthcare Salute. Here we want to provide information about, for example, normal responses to stress and trauma. When we see individuals moving into an injured zone where they would likely need to seek help and assistance, for example, from peer supporters or mental health providers, and then into a zone where they are acutely ill and do need to seek immediate assistance, for example, when they may be experiencing suicidality or other thoughts of self-harm. We want to provide information about what are some of the common responses to stress, what does a post-traumatic stress injury look like, and what are some of the things that you can do to help yourself and also to navigate you towards resources and tools and healthcare workers who can support and help you. I would like to thank Canadian healthcare workers, along with public safety personnel who have served at the forefront of the COVID-19 pandemic at great sacrifice not only to themselves, but also to their families. We salute and thank you.